friends. Tillery Timmons-Sims here with you again for another episode of Conservation Stories. Conservation Stories is a podcast that's sponsored by the Sandhill Area Research Association, or SARA as we love to call it, because it's a lot easier to say. So I have with me today two lovely ladies that are joining us to talk about FFA, Future Farmers of America. Would you ladies please introduce yourself? Madison, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm Madison Diezi. I'm currently serving as the Texas FFA Area 11 State Vice President. So the way it's broken up is Texas has 12 areas, kind of like regions, and each region gets a state officer. And from there, we have a president and a first vice president, and then 10 other vice presidents from the area.
Okay. So what's the area that you're in? Where does it encompass?
So Area 11 it kind of wraps around the Houston area. So, you know, how I like to show everyone. So we have Houston, which is Area 3. And then kind of up here at Conroe, and then all the way down to, you know, we encompass Brenham, Texas, lots of smaller towns, you know, all the way to Yoakum, Hallettsville, kind of a little more south.
Oh, that's a long ways from here.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, thank you for coming all this way. Did you come all this way for an event, an FFA event that's happening here?
No, ma'am. I am actually a freshman at Texas Tech this year, so I am majoring in Ag and Applied Economics, along with I'm being a full-time student, along with being a Texas FFA state officer.
Okay, so that's going to lead me to another question, but let us move on in introductions before I get too distracted.
My name is Kinley Hoelscher. I'm currently serving as the Texas FFA Area 2 state officer. My area covers all of West Texas, so from New Home to around Junction, and then El Paso to about Sweetwater.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, ma'am.
And y'all probably have about the same amount of people in those. Yours is this big and yours is this big, and there's probably about the same amount of people. That's a big area.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. So where are you from?
I'm from Roscoe, Texas, just outside of Roscoe.
I know where that is. I sure do. In fact, there's a little school just outside of Roscoe. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but anyway,
Would be Highland.
It was.
That's where I graduated.
Oh my goodness!
Yes,
so this is what happens frequently here. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law worked. He was a coach there. Boynton,
Oh, really?
Yes, was their name. So probably you were a small child when they were there. So I didn't know that I thought when you graduated you were through with FFA.
Normally, yes, that is how it works. You can maintain your membership past your high school experience because we have degrees. So we have a state degree, which you normally get between your junior and senior years of high school at our state convention. And then there's also an American degree. So that is at the national level. And you normally get that around sophomore year of college is when you will apply and
what does that mean,
get accepted.
Degree?
So each degree has certain requirements. So you have to have an SAE, which is a supervised agricultural experience, and you have to put a certain amount of hours into that or make a certain profit. And then along with that is a number of community service hours that you have to have, along with a few other requirements.
Okay, so it's a little bit kind of like an Eagle Scout. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, kind of like it's the kind of that thing. It's like a merit badge, or you've earned this next degree certification. Cool. That's really cool. So, how long have you been in FFA? Because it starts when you're in high school, correct? It's a high school, obviously now college.
Most start in high school, especially in Texas. But you know, some chapters can start 7th grade.
Most.
Yeah. We see a lot of, you know, we've been with many other state officers from across the country, and, you know, a lot of other states have a lot of middle school programs. We have a few in Texas, not as much from where I'm from, I would say, but yes, it can start at 7th grade. But I became an FFA member as a freshman in high school, yes.
Okay, so did you both grow up in ag?
Yes.
You both grew up in ag? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So my family owns a Hereford cattle ranch, seed stock cow-calf operation. And so along with that, I had 2 older siblings. So, started showing heifers at a young age.
Yes.
Got into 4-H before anything else at 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And been around it all my life, the whole raised in a barn type thing. That's how I spent the weekends. So, yes, ma'am.
Exactly.
And
what
then,
about you, Kinley?
My family raises market lambs and goats, and so I grew up showing lambs and goats.
Okay.
I actually joined as a junior FFA member my 3rd grade year up until 8th grade, and I actually started senior FFA when I was in the 8th grade. So like Maddie said, some chapters will start when you're in middle school. So that's what I did. That's what my chapter offered.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you just say 3rd grade, though? You started.
That's when I started showing lambs and goats.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so, did you show? Because I know, you have to when you show, you have to be part of 4-H or you have to be part of FFA. So, were you showing as part of FFA in the 3rd grade? Okay.
Yes,
Didn't
ma'am.
know you could do that. I thought you had to be 4-H. So. Let's back up a little bit, just for people who do not. I mean, I shouldn't have presumed knowledge on the people that are listening in. FFA is Future Farmers of America. How long has it been around?
Since, what is it, 1920?
1920.
Oh, so kind of came out of
Pause
the.
on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
1929 or 1928?
I want to say 28.
Just say the 20s, 1920s.
Okay.
Okay, we're ready. So I'll ask the question again. So how long has FFA been around?
So since the late 1920s, kind of around the time of the Great Depression is actually, when this organization started.
Interesting. And I think maybe that was part of maybe seeing a need to help people take care of themselves, reintroduce people to what it means to be on the farm
yes, ma'am.
be self-sufficient, because so many people are going hungry.
That was absolutely a factor. I don't think a lot of people think about that. We talk about the organization starting around that time, but truly, that was a big factor in it. Was we need to this needs to be something that is taught in high school, that people need to learn. They need to have these skills.
That's interesting, because probably around that same time you saw the development of what 4-H is part of, which is that land grant. Universities building during that time and trying to kind of do the same thing. That's really interesting. So are y'all in any connection? Is FFA connected in any way to a land grant system? Don't take this the wrong way, but AgriLife, like A&M? Are y'all connected in any way? Like 4-H is connected.
We don't have as strong of ties as 4-H does, especially to Texas A&M AgriLife Extension. They are very heavily involved.
Right. They're just part of that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
We don't have a tie like that, but we do work a lot with universities, colleges, especially those colleges that have those ag programs. We will do a lot of events. Most of our career development events, which are starting to pick up this spring, those will be hosted at those colleges. So we have them hosted at A&M, we have them hosted at Sam Houston, we have some hosted up here at Texas Tech. So we do have a very strong relationship with those universities, but not quite the connection that 4-H has.
Okay, interesting. So I just wanted to be careful, since you're both here under the Tech flag. These Tech students, being real cautious about what other universities we might bring up.
Yes, ma'am. Well, we are very fond of A&M. We have 5 teammates there right now. So.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yes.
5 right now.
Okay, wow, my goodness. So you had to choose at some point. I'm going to participate in 4-H. I'm going to participate in FFA, because there's not enough daylight to do both, would be my guess. So Kinley, wants to talk with you. What made you move in that direction of FFA?
For me personally, it started out just being a lot easier, just because in 4-H I had to travel to another town. I lived out in the middle of nowhere, so going to town, we didn't really go to town a whole lot. So it just started out easier doing it through the school instead of doing it through the county. And then I sort of really just enjoyed how FFA was just based strictly on the agriculture industry, whereas 4-H is wonderful, but it encompasses a lot of different industries.
Right.
And I really enjoyed how FFA was really focused on the agriculture industry.
Yeah. Okay, Madison, what about you?
For me, I think it was a big family thing. My dad, he's not a certified ag teacher, but he works kind of in our ag department. He's an auto tech teacher. So I always had a strong relationship with our ag teachers there. They knew me since I was, knee-high to a grasshopper. Right. So I always had a really strong connection there. And then, both my siblings, we all did 4-H and FFA, but I just saw the way that they just fully immersed themselves into FFA compared to 4-H. And that may have had a little bit to do with where we were. We are in a rural area. And living in a small town like that, there's not as many people that do it compared to FFA in high school, where you have a little bit of a bigger community, few more people to share that experience with. So I think that was a huge factor for me.
That's really neat. I think that it kind of just shows what is part of the community is kind of the direction that you guys kind of went. Really, that's neat. That's neat. So you have in each one of your regions or areas, there's 11 or 12? 12?
12.
Okay, so in each one of these 12, there are multiple chapters inside that. Okay, so can somebody just start a chapter? Like with 4-H, a lot of times people are like, I'm going to start a 4-H chapter over here because we don't have one, or we want one just for these people that are doing this or whatever. Is it more complex than that?
Yes, ma'am. I know that in order to start a chapter, there are many different steps that you have to go through. You can't just say, my school wants a chapter, we're going to be an affiliated chapter now. I do know I had the opportunity to facilitate a Jumpstart program. I do know that new chapters have to go through Jumpstart in order to become an affiliated chapter. That's just something that Texas FFA puts on in order to help those new chapters.
That's a great idea.
Yes, and then we have a state staff member has to conduct a site visit before they can become an affiliated chapter as well. Okay,
so you have FFA is, for people that don't know, it's huge. It's a huge. Is it more than just U.S.? Is it international, or is it just United States?
It's just in the U.S. Okay. Yes, ma'am. There are, I know, national officers that we have. They get to travel to Japan, and they kind of involve themselves because Japan is trying to upstart a program.
Oh, interesting.
FFJ is what they're calling it. So they are kind of taking that idea and building that for themselves.
That's kind of what I was wondering. If it was y'all are part of this global, this is the one for the United States, but there's one for Poland, there's one for Japan. So that idea really is just kind of starting.
Yes, but it will remain two separate organizations.
Sure. That's really cool, though. That's a great idea. Yeah. So are the chapters mostly located in schools, like in the high school?
Yes, ma'am. So it has to... FFA follows a 3-circle model: classroom instruction, SAE, and FFA. That encompasses it. So the whole point of it is agricultural education. So it is going to be in
it's legit.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So you're gonna be taught by somebody who's like a trained professional. Yeah. Okay. So it's not because I would think 4-H, you kind of equate 4-H with the Scouts, or something kind of along those lines. And so you're learning. It's great. It's just a completely different model. Y'all's is more along the lines of professional development. Would you say? I
would say so. I think compared to 4-H, there is more of a centralized focus on agriculture. With 4-H, you do have those homemaking aspects, things like that, but we are solely agriculture.
Right. Yeah. So, but they're also, because really the people, in my experience with 4-H, it was, a lot of people volunteering, and of course you had your extension agent, but a lot of people were volunteering to teach a lot of those things too, and, you might be learning whatever your skill is. You might be learning from your, aunt or your cousin's mother, or, you know what I'm saying? Well, that would be your aunt. So anyway, so what do you feel like, if, if someone was thinking like, I'm thinking about what I know I want to do something in agriculture but I've lived in the city all my life and I don't really know much. Like, is it beneficial to them to be part of FFA?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. We have a teammate. He is currently serving as our first vice president. So he is on the road constantly. He's on our travel team. And he grew up in the suburbs of Houston. And he has, gained so much from this experience and from this. And, if you get to talk to him ever, he'll tell you all about it. He's kind of our urban ag advocate. I think just because he grew up in that environment and grew up in that situation. But I think there's so many kids, especially in those urban areas, that think like, oh, this isn't for me. This is about agriculture. But truly, it isn't, we like to say it isn't just cows, sows, and plows. We're creating leaders. We're creating people that can go into the workforce, that can find a job, that have people skills and communication. So even if you aren't looking to go into the agriculture industry, if you're, looking to go into the medical field or, strictly like business and communications, this will 100% benefit you.
It's interesting to me. I have a friend, we were in a program together. She's brilliant young woman and grew up, in Dallas, and now she she's probably going to be she'll be an ag ambassador. She'll wind up somewhere, I think, you know what I mean? And it was fun to watch her through, see our experience of seeing these things in agriculture through her eyes and looking at her and thinking how exciting it was for me to like see someone that didn't grow up, because a lot of times it's kind of like just in your DNA, you know what I mean? You do it because like you don't know, it's not that you're saying you don't know what else to do, but it's just like maybe you haven't been exposed to all these things, you know what I mean? All the other things that are out there. But anyway, just see somebody be like, to choose to invest themselves in that industry that's so impactful all over the world, really.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. I know that is such like a special thing that, we as state officers get to see whenever we get to go on chapter visits, whenever we get to interact with members. It's those kids that, they'll tell you, oh, I sat at the back of my ag class and my teacher forced me to do this. Like, they may start off our conference or our workshop being like, I don't want to be here. But then by the end of it, it's like, wow, this was really fun. This was exciting. This is engaging. And it's how do we get you more involved? This has been so special to us. Like we know it can be so special to you. And especially touching on, people that don't grow up into the ag, grow up in the ag industry and choosing that anyways. I think that is so powerful. Not only because, our farmer and rancher numbers are shrinking, but just because of the viewpoint and innovation they can bring to this. They grew up in those urban areas. They know how things work. Being able to think about that with how fast urban agriculture is growing in itself, I think is absolutely amazing. And, we need those people more than ever now.
Yeah. Well, I was at the Amarillo Farm Show this year and spoke to on a panel to FFA students, and it was really interesting because I asked them, like show of hands, how many of you plan to go into agriculture? It was like 4 of like the 40 people that were in there, and I was like, that is really interesting, but also encouraging because that is, all of these 40 students who will have been exposed to things that I'm surely glad they're going to know about, and it was fun also to be like, well, there's all these different jobs now in agriculture, so how do you know you're not going to be in ag? Because you may find that you want to be like a bioengineer, or you just never know.
Absolutely. And, even those kids that may not be involved in agriculture, I think it's so important that they just have the skills to be an advocate. That advocating for agriculture, in order to grow it, how we need this industry to grow and support our growing population. I think that advocacy can't just come from the industry. It has to come from the people outside of it as well.
That is absolutely the truth. It is. So y'all have an idea how many FFA students there are in Texas, members?
We have over 183,000 members.
183,000 members.
Yes, ma'am.
Texas is a big place. That's a lot.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Yeah, that makes a big convention. Does everybody go when you have convention?
I think we could, shut down a city if 183,000
like,
people
how
were
in
there.
the world?
I believe at our past convention this last July, we had about 15 or 16,000.
Okay. Wow.
So.
Oh my goodness. So are there like levels that people are involved in? So like some people are more involved, some people are less involved, that kind of thing. Just depends on what their goals are.
Yes, ma'am. So, you'll come in contact with members who just show at, their county fair, or just show at the major livestock shows, or come into contact with kids that just do this one contest. But then you'll have kids that, they show at majors, they do a leadership development event in the fall, they do a career development event in the spring, they'll go to convention over the summer, they'll do a speaking event, they'll get involved. We have different level of office positions, just like how we're state officers. We have chapter office, district office, area office. So the level of involvement definitely does vary, but I don't think that makes it any less impactful.
Right. That's interesting. Almost 200,000 people, girls. That's a lot of people. Wow. That's a lot. Y'all are leading a lot of folks.
Yes,
That's a
ma'am.
pretty big deal. So I'm assuming, to have an organization this big, you guys have like there's full-time staff, people that kind of keep the wheels rolling.
Yes, ma'am. We have
Eight state staff members.
State staff.
State staff members.
That is hard to say. State
yes.
staff.
And then, we are in college along with all of the Texas FFA vice presidents are in college, but our president and our first vice, they are the travel team. So we have a Texas FFA truck, and what they do is they spend their entire year of service, 12 weeks in the fall, 12 weeks in the spring, visiting all 12 areas across the state.
So is this like between high school and college, or is this after college, or is it like?
They are They are our age. They graduated last year.
Okay. And so they take basically a service year.
Yes, they defer their first year of college to take on this responsibility.
Wow.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
really neat. So they'll just go different places, just recruiting and trying to maybe raise funds, that kind of stuff? Or
so mainly they'll go to a chapter and give a workshop. So there's a process where your chapter can request a state officer visit. Forms go out at the beginning of the school year. The advisor will fill it out, say, hey, this kind of works best for us. And then our area leadership advisors or area travel coordinators, they will essentially take all that and put them into place and create a whole schedule. And then our state staff members will send that to us. And Riley and Cody, our travel team members, they get that, on Google spreadsheets, and they're like, okay, this is our schedule.
Wow.
Yes.
My goodness. Wow.
Normally, it is 3 schools a day, all 5 days a week.
3 schools a day. Wow. That's amazing. That's a lot of traveling.
Yes.
Wow. That's not much of what they call that, gap year. That's not much of a gap year. That's a work year. Wow. That's really neat. That's a neat thing to put on your resume, though.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
That's really cool. So you guys have different workshops, so you can learn different things, and you can choose to go to those things. And then can you might have one like in Houston that you would go to if you lived in Lubbock, or one in Abilene, or is that kind of how you travel as a student, as an FA student, to go to those things, or are you requesting them and they come to your chapter?
They'll come to your chapter.
Okay.
So Riley and Cody, like Maddie said, will go around 12 weeks from each semester. They'll go to each area twice, and so as vice presidents, when they are traveling to our area, we go with them. So when they travel area 2, I go with them. When they travel area 11, Maddie goes with them.
Okay. I'm going to just say, if you're traveling your area, it should take more than a week, would be my guess.
Yes, ma'am. We had a lot of driving. I haven't done my second week of travel yet, but the first week, the first semester, we had to do a lot of driving. Yes, ma'am.
That is a big old part of the state.
Yes, ma'am.
It really is. But it's a lovely part, too, though. I like Junction. And I love Sonora. It's probably in your area.
It is, yes, ma'am.
It's one of my favorite places in Texas. I don't know why. The people are great. The people are great. So, is there anything that you think people need to know about FFA? What would you tell somebody that's thinking they're in high school, they're trying to decide what they're going to do, how they're going to spend their time, or maybe they're, even younger than that, you know what I mean? Kind of just looking ahead going, I'm in 7th grade in 2 years. What am I going to do? Am I going to be in drama? Am I going to be, because there's a lot of pulls. There's a lot of things that are pulling people's attention. So why FFA?
I would say, if they're thinking about joining FFA, take the jump and go for it. If they're not sure what they want to do, I'd just kind of plant that thought in their mind that, FFA is always an option. There's a multitude of FFA members that aren't just FFA members. They're athletes. They're involved in band, theater, other extracurriculars. It's not solely, FFA or nothing. It absolutely can be, because we have things going on year round that you can that can take up all your time. But just the experience that creates, I truly don't think there's anything else like it. Whether that's you're just doing one contest and that's all you do in the FFA, or if you are, pursuing offices and you're doing events in the fall and the spring, I don't think that there's anything that compares to that. Not only what you can learn about agriculture and being an advocate, but the way it just grows you as a person. It grows your communication skills. It grows your professionalism skills. It just grows you in a way that I don't think any other organization does. And the people you meet in the FFA, that is something that's never going to go away. The community that we have, like the home you kind of create for yourself when you're in this organization. I have friends who, I met at a contest one time and, still have them and still talk to them. Friends from different officer teams that I will stay in contact with, that go to school with me here. So, it is a community like no other.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is fun that it's just kind of all rallied around that one, something that is never going to go away. It's an industry that'll always be there and always needs. I know that we're sorely lacking in we have jobs. We're lacking in people to take those jobs in the ag world. So it's a good time for people to be thinking about getting ag degrees, I think.
Absolutely.
So y'all have anything you want to leave the audience with about FFA, or where they could go and maybe get more information?
Yes, so if you're looking for any more information, there's both a national FFA website and a Texas FFA website. On the Texas FFA website, you can see upcoming events, you can see the state officer team, learn more about us, national officers, how to get more involved, things that you can do for your chapter, scholarships. That is absolutely a huge thing that the FFA offers if you are an existing member. Yes, ma'am.
That's good to
We
know.
have a Texas FFA scholarship that I'm a recipient of that is $20,000.
Oh, nice.
And it
Wow,
ranges.
that's so
We have
beautiful.
other options, but we give a lot of support to those that are going into the industry that have done a lot for our organization. So
That's nice.
absolutely.
That's nice. That's great. So what about you? Any last words? We'll edit that out.
My bad.
Well, that's okay. Do you want to say anything? But you don't have to.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I'll wrap it up. Okay. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, this has been really interesting. I have definitely learned a lot. I've just realized sitting here talking to y'all, I mean, I guess I'm experienced with 4-H, but as I've mentioned that a million times, but this is new. FFA is like a totally new thing for me, so I've learned a lot. I really appreciate y'all coming and giving me your time and taking off time from the campus to come over here, and I'm glad you're here as Red Raiders.
Yes,
And you never know. A lot of Red Raiders wind up staying in Lubbock. I'm just saying. It happens. It happens. So, well, friends, if you want to check out more information about FFA, we will link all of the information that you've given and everything so that people can find all those things out. And learn and see if it might be for you. Thanks for what y'all do, and I'm excited for your futures.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Thank you
for
so
having
much.
us.
Thanks.